Hey everybody, this is Dave with Growing the Home Garden. Today I wanted to show you a quick update of the Heuchera that I was growing from seeds and take a look at how well these have done so far. They are ready to be potted up into like 4-inch pots and grow them on to be larger size plants, but they're just doing great. And I've had them under the lights in the garage, and as it's got a little bit warmer out here, they've really kind of put on some good growth. But there's a little variation in it. I've got some smaller ones there in the back and some larger ones that, I mean, they're just looking great. These are from a variety called Kassandra, and it's going to be kind of a purple colored, very similar to a Palace purple, I believe. Now over here on the other side, you can see some of the seedlings of the Heuchera. These are from Firefly, and Firefly's got some nice little red flowers, kind of a pinkish red, a little bit of white on them, that kind of thing. So they are doing well. They're germinated. You can see there's quite a few of them in there. I sprinkled a bunch of seed in there and a lot happened to decide to grow. So that was really cool. But the next thing I need to do is go on and pot these up into some sort of pot so I can put them out in a nice shady area and just kind of let them grow more naturally. So my next step here is I've put together a soil mix, which is just basically third of peat, compost, and wood chips. And they are the little wood chips that you can get in the bags at the hardware stores that are usually labeled something like soil conditioner. They're just a finely chopped up pine bark usually. And so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to fill up some 4-inch pots, which I've got over here. I've rinsed them out a little bit. So I'm going to fill those up. They're not in wonderful condition, but I will use whatever I have on hand because I don't want to waste anything. But I'll put the soil in these, and then I'll put the Heucheras in that. And so here they are, all filled up with that mix and ready to start extracting the Heucheras from their tray and put them in here. So for this part of the process, I'm going to gently find the larger pieces, and I'm going to just kind of pull them out. I'm just using a little plastic knife there, kind you take on a picnic. You can use a fork. That probably actually would work better, but I couldn't find a fork, so this was the closest thing I had. So then I'm going to do that, and I'm going to rotate the camera around over here to the flat, and I'm going to just take that, I'm going to gently make a little bit of a hole, and I'm going to tuck that in real good. I don't want to plant these too deep. I want the crown to be right up level with the soil, because Heucheras do not like their crowns buried. They want to have that up at the top, and it's better for them to be exactly how they want when you plant them. So I'm going to do that with several of these here, just gently taking them and transferring them over, making a little bit of a hole and putting them in there. You know, the key is just to be very patient with it. Don't go real fast, because we want to retain as many of the roots as possible to give them the best chance. And Heucheras are very tough, so they should be fine doing this. I've seen them grow on a rock wall near a waterfall before with not much soil in it. So they can survive in some pretty harsh conditions. The key is just to make things as ideal as possible. And so I've got quite a few of these. I'm starting with the larger ones, and of course sometimes you end up with this kind of a mess where they're all hooked together, so you just kind of gently pull them apart. You don't want to rip anything. There we go. And that's about 4 of them that were all kind of tangled up together. So I'll fill up this tray as much as I can with what I've got. And I'm starting with the bigger ones, and I'll leave the smaller ones in my other flat to grow a little bit larger, and then I'll transplant them later. But sometimes these things really get hung up because I've got them growing so close together. And heck, if you don't have a plastic utensil handy, use something else like your finger. It'll work just fine. Now after I get these all planted, I'm going to want them to go in a shady spot where they can kind of grow on. I'll give them a little bit of a fertilizer. I'll turn the camera there. You can see a little bit better what I'm doing. Right in here like that. Okay, so it's really not a hard thing to do. Heucheras are very fun plants to grow. They come in a lot of different colors and varieties. And these here, they're pretty much all going to be kind of a bland purplish green color. Nothing real fancy with it, but sometimes you never know. You might end up with something a little bit more unique. But I think I'm going to end up with just some filler plants to put in kind of around our hostas. Deer are not very fond of Heuchera, and that's a good thing because we do have a lot of deer issues out here. I have not seen them too much, and I'm hoping it stays that way this year, because I definitely don't want them eating my tomato plants, which they will. They've done it before. They'll do it again, I'm sure. But, you know, Heucheras, plant them around your hostas, they're not going to bother them. Hellebores is another one you can plant around hostas, and it's really good to kind of mix things up so that the deer don't come and eat them. Rabbits don't seem to bother these either. So just a couple of good shade plants that you can use that are probably fairly pest proof. One thing about Heucheras is that over time they will expand out from the crown, and they'll kind of form a little bit of a ring where the crown used to be. And so at that point you're going to want to pull them apart, separate them, and then replant them. Remove the dead crown and then just plant them back into place, and that will allow you to just rejuvenate the whole plant itself. Quick, but look at that. That's a lot of little Heucheras there. See if you can see that. See how tangled up they are? I'm trying to get that in focus. So you just gently kind of separate them. And you know, if you get a couple in one pot, that's not a big deal. You know, plant a couple in there, and then you can separate them out later, especially if they're little and they're hard to separate. All right, so that's really all there is to it. I've got 5 more slots to fill up in this pot, in this tray here for these pots. And so it looks like I'll have about 18 Heucheras here that will be ready to go in the garden probably in another month or 2. Just want to let them grow on a little bit. What I'll do is I'll water these in real good, and then probably next week give them a good dose of some fertilizer. They could use some nitrogen to put on some leaf growth, and that will help spur them on. So that's kind of my plan, and we'll see how that goes. So I'm Dave with Growing the Home Garden. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you following along as we do garden stuff out here in the yard, anything from plant propagation, growing things from seed, or in the vegetable garden. A lot of stuff that we can get into. So please subscribe for more of that. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like. It always helps you out. So thanks again, and I'm Dave. We'll see you later.